Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
Macewan University recovers $10 million that was lost in a phishing scheme.
The university is extremely fortunate, and we're very thankful to all the individuals that helped us recover these funds.
The last playground zone sign has been installed.
Today is the last school zone that is converted into a playground zone.
With this week's cooler weather, what does it mean for local businesses?
Their nature's not friendly, neither are the revenues.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. April is off to a cold start and it's causing revenue loss for businesses.
And with the Easter weekend behind us, many are saying we need to warm up soon. Our Amber Bernard joins us live from the South Lobby with more on that story.
Thanks, guys. This time of year usually means a new start and a much-needed financial boost from the winter, but with the late season, it's making people nervous. Well, don't let the sun fool you this week, as Edmonton is experiencing an unusual cold start to April, and there's a mix of feelings among people.
Would hope it would get colder for today, but yeah, it's definitely not cold enough.
It sucks so far. I wish it was warmer.
And the same goes for businesses in the city as they endure Mother Nature's cold shoulder.
Our normal historically we were open about the middle of April, and by the looks of things, it's going to be near the end of April. So that's significant revenues lost for all golf courses in Edmonton, which of course really depend on the sun to shine and the snow to be gone. So it's been tough on all of us.
And shops like Timberland Supply have products like lawn care equipment collecting dust rather than cutting grass.
Clearly this year, our spring and summer sales cycle has been delayed up to this point by at least 3.5, probably 4 weeks. So yes, we have noticed a difference.
Over at Snow Valley, the hills are empty as they're closed now, and while they would have loved to stay open, their winter workers are gone for the year. Regardless, they say they're happy with their long, successful season.
We've been closing earlier the last 2 years because it's been so warm. Someone came to me today and said, yeah, April 4th I had a paddleboard sale, and so not this year. So yeah, it's been a really great season for skiing and snowboarding, definitely.
This first week of April is gearing to be the coldest Edmonton has had in over 15 years, and businesses are feeling it.
Amber, you said this might be the coldest start to April we've seen in a while. What were the temperatures like last year?
Average temperatures last year were around 12 to 15 degrees, so quite the difference as we can all feel, and it's not going to warm up until about mid-April.
Amber, have other areas been affected by the weather?
Yes, restaurants are having to delay opening up their patios anytime soon, and people aren't changing over their winter tires just yet, so car shops aren't as busy as they'd like to be.
Thanks, Amber. That's Amber Bernard reporting live from the South Lobby.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch.
The City of Edmonton announced its new plan for transit around the city.
And with the dwindling number of people taking buses, the plan is to significantly cut down the number of bus routes. Our David Pater has more on that story.
Yeah, thanks guys. Edmonton is actually getting a whole new bus route system, completely revamped, that will run much more efficiently. Every local bus route will be affected. Having redesigned the bus routes for the first time in 20 years, the city thought it was time to make a change to bring Edmonton up to present-day standards. The reason for the changes were outdated routing systems, as well as backlash from the public. The city believes that the proposed system will be much more fluent.
We started with, we have 200 bus networks right now, and we will have about 100 bus routes under the new bus network system, and they are there's less overlap. They're more direct rather than more circuitous, and so that means that they'll come more frequently, and they may be speedier as well.
While the changes will decrease bus route times, with the decline in the number of bus stops and routes in circulation, it will increase times in walking distance to get to the still existing bus stops. In -30, that isn't the most convenient thing for some.
And even walking out in +30, you know what I mean? If it's a sunny, hot day, who wants to stand there waiting for a bus that's already too hot to sit on? and now you got to wait longer or walk farther to get there. It's ridiculous.
The City of Edmonton plans to gather feedback for the new bus route system for all of 2018. That will start April 12th with the workshops, where citizens from Edmonton will be able to bounce ideas off of officials as to the new bus routes. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm David Pater. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Dave.
That's our David Pater reporting from the West Edmonton Mall bus terminal. If you live on Jasper Avenue all the way down to 124th Street, you may be familiar with the issue of traffic noise affecting residents and business owners. In 2017, the City of Edmonton received 123 complaints regarding noise traffic. Following a noise test in 2016, 123th Street and Jasper Avenue turned out to be one of the noisiest locations. The noise levels are comparable to a plane landing. White Avenue was not on the list, but at a community meeting at City Hall on Wednesday, White Ave resident Kim Clegg expressed his thoughts.
I'll actually wake up with my eyes shattered at 3 a.m. from someone all the way over on Calgary Trail flooring it. I'm like, how is this legal for someone to have an exhaust system on a car this loud?
A pilot program to set sound traps that are similar to speed radars has been drafted and is set to be put in place shortly. The city hopes this program will educate drivers on noise awareness and reduce city complaints.
City crews have put up the last playground sign in Edmonton. The final school zone sign at St. Basil Elementary and Junior High School was taken down Wednesday and replaced with the new playground zone sign. The city expects this to cause less confusion when driving around schools.
So that drivers aren't going, okay, is this a school zone or is this a playground zone? But also a lot of school grounds had playgrounds in them or attached to them that weren't marked as reduced speed. And so this way we bring everything into the same speed.
The playground zone requires vehicles to travel at 30 kilometers an hour and is in effect every day from 7:30 a.m. till 9 p.m.
Health officials from Alberta Health Services are telling City Council to be cautious as the city looks at different options for public cannabis use.
Public consumption. This will be potentially your most difficult issue.
City Council discussed 3 different options on public use. One option would not allow any use of cannabis in public. The second option is to follow the same rules for smoking and cigarettes. And the third option will allow smoking in certain public areas like parklands and festivals.
Just with respect to driving, I think just don't smoke and drive. That'd be about it.
I'm personally not fond of it because I have no need for it, and
I don't have any problem with it. I think it's good, yeah.
Council also discussed having a 200-meter buffer zone in between different cannabis shops, as well as in between schools, libraries, parks, and recreation centers.
Macewan University is praising its legal team after their swift response in recovering most of the funds lost in a phishing attack last August. The university has recovered 92% of the $11.8 million lost in a phishing scam. Macewan says it's tightened up security measures after the incident.
More checks, more people have to authorize these type of payments. We also have a detailed vendor plan where we make sure we contact the vendors, make sure we have the accurate information, and make sure we follow through on these.
Macewan is also implementing an IT security awareness and training program for its staff and faculty to prevent further incidents.
People gathered into the TELUS Centre at the University of Alberta Wednesday to discuss the Constitution and the Trans Mountain Pipeline.
But if you're a small oil and gas company, you're at the mercy of the market. And so
it was a packed house as 4 panelists talked on a variety of topics, including environmental rights, Indigenous rights, and the economic side of the pipeline. The meaning behind the panel is to figure out if the government of British Columbia has the constitutional right to block the pipeline, or if the federal government has the final say.
Is the policy of this pipeline good or bad? That's a debate that Canadians should have. Is there federal jurisdiction over this pipeline, and can the BC government take away that federal jurisdiction? Well, on that constitutional question, the answer is no.
The panel ended with the audience asking a few questions and the opportunity to talk to the panelists one-on-one.
Alberta's Minister of Energy made a visit to NAIT this past Wednesday to discuss the future of renewable energy in the province.
Helping to foster innovation, ideas, and new ways of thinking.
NAIT places.
The press conference was called to announce the start of the second and third rounds of bidding to increase the private sector investment in the renewable electricity program. The government takes these bids, and those companies selected will be allowed to provide power to nearly 300,000 homes.
These opportunities are crucial to help ensure that our goal of a more diversified economy is built.
The program is expected to attract $10 billion in private investment and create 7,000 jobs for Albertans.
A happy ending to an unfortunate event at the Rock and Roll Society of Edmonton over the Easter weekend. 5 autographed guitars were stolen, which were supposed to be auctioned off for charity to help at-risk youth. After gaining media attention, a pawn shop owner from Calgary recognized the guitars when someone tried to sell them. All 5 guitars have now been recovered.
I was afraid that once we started getting some media coverage about this story, that the kids would panic and maybe throw them in the side of the ditch, or worse, erase or try to erase the autographs and just sell them as guitars. Thankfully, none of that happened.
The guitars are being sent back to the organization. They will be auctioned off shortly thereafter on April 14th, as well as during their annual Rock and Roll Festival. You can check out www.edrocks.ca for more information about the organization and their events. Coming up after the break, can your morning pick-me-up be more harmful than helpful?
A chemical found in coffee could be linked to cancer.
People are probably going to go, yeah, well, I need that extra cup of coffee.
Coming up in sports this week, I try my hand at one of the world's oldest sports. The Utes host their athletic banquets, and the Mini World Cup takes to Edmonton. Find out how much of a knockout this segment will be.
Coming up in weather, the warm weather is coming, but it's a matter of when. That and more coming up after the break.
Is your life missing some ingredients?
Without following NR92, it definitely is.
NR92's Facebook and Twitter is your portal to today's best music blends.
Follow NR92 for your best blend.
Man, the last little while it's been absolutely freezing. I mean, over the weekend I was out shooting something, but it was just absolutely frigid. We were having none of that.
Yeah, I hope it gets a lot warmer this weekend. What do you say, Brett?
Luckily, I'm going to be the bearer of good news, but first we're going to start in Calgary. It's going to be a high of -8 and a low of -12 in Calgary, so they're going to stay around the same kind of mark. In Jasper, they are going to have kind of more of a fluctuation, but not quite as much, as there's still going to be a low of -12 in the morning, but in the afternoon, it's going to be a high of -2. So keeping a coat with you on your hike is going to be very nice. Up north in Fort McMurray, it's going to be mainly sunny and no chance of precipitation, but it is going to be cold, as it's going to be -20 in the morning, and in the afternoon, it's going to be -5. In Edmonton, it's going to be mostly cloudy and a 60% chance of flurries in the morning. It's going to be -15 with those flurries, and in the afternoon, it's going to be around -7. Our averages are around 9 to -2, so we aren't quite at that same mark, but the snow is usually here. But again, that cold is not usually here. In 1889, the record high was at +23, so I wish we were still there, but we aren't quite yet. Next week, however, we will be warming up. Back to you guys.
NewsWatch Weather is brought to you by NR92, the station for the students.
A new legislation is coming from California that may impact how much coffee we drink.
In these stressful times before finals, it'd be nice to know if I can still have my coffee in the morning. Our Zachary McLean has more.
Coffee, coffee, and even more coffee. Nothing starts out a student's day quite like a cup of joe. But what if your morning cup could give you cancer? Following a health lawsuit against Starbucks in the state of California, all coffee shops in the state are required to put cancer warning labels on their products.
The particular chemical that they are targeting is one that occurs in coffee beans, it's in potatoes, and so when it's heated to a certain temperature, that's when it releases acrylamide, and that is the piece that is that can be cancer causing.
Many tests have been performed to see what the risks associated with acrylamide are regarding cancer. Extreme concentrations of the chemical promoted tumor growth within lab rats. However, most observations of humans exposed proved inconclusive.
What needs to be done is just that old saying, everything in moderation. Coffee does have some health benefits. It lowers cardiac risk. It lowers your risk of certain kinds of cancers like melanoma and prostate cancer. So people are probably going to go, yeah, well, I need that extra cup of coffee.
Coffee companies such as Starbucks have until April 10th to file objections to the Los Angeles court's new legislation. Anyone found in violation of the legislation could be fined up to $250,000. Me personally, I don't even like coffee. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Zachary McLean.
Man, it's hard to believe it's already April. Where does the time go? And that means the NAIT Ooks athletic season has come to an end.
Yeah, it's sad to see it go, but Edmonton's soccer scene has been getting a lot of attention, right, Brendan?
Absolutely, guys, and that's exactly where we're going to start this week's sports segment. The recent cold weather has likely pushed soccer to the back of your mind, but the beautiful game is on display indoors with the 2018 Mini World Cup underway in Edmonton. The event is held every 2 years, featuring teams from 25 countries, and this year they're represented by men and women in the 35-plus age group. So, let's catch up with some Group C men's action between Canada and Italy. Canada came into the game having dropped their opening match to Bosnia 10-0. Meanwhile, the Italian team squeaked past the Netherlands 3-2. Italy got off to a fast start with Chris Lewis's tally opening the scoring a couple minutes into the game. And from that point on, the floodgates were wide open. The Italians poured 5 goals in on Canadian keeper Chad Curran in the first half, who really couldn't do a lot about it, did not get a lot of help from the overmatched Canadian squad on this night. Little later on, Canada did have a chance to stop the bleeding. They had a good, nice close free kick, but they couldn't even get a good shot out of it. In the second half then, Italy potted 6 goals en route to an 11-1 defeat of the Canadian squad. But despite the loss, Canadian goalkeeper Chad Curran says the tournament isn't all about the W's.
Yeah, it's just, try to put a decent effort together and play with some pride and have a good time at the same time, right? So we all do this for fun, so just enjoy it.
Round robin play will wrap up tomorrow, and the championship game kicks off next Wednesday at the South Soccer Centre. Another season of NAIT Athletics has come to an end, and now the athletics department is ready to honor those who achieved excellence.
And our student athletes have performed at a much higher level than I'm used to in post-secondary sport, which is really encouraging.
The NAIT Athletic Banquet will take place this evening, honoring individual and team accomplishments throughout the 2017-18 season. Some highlights include NAIT hosting the ACAC Men's Soccer Championship in the fall. The men's and women's hockey programs each had outstanding records and made playoff runs. And the curling, badminton, and soccer programs all went to national championships.
We're there. We are right on the precipice, and now do we take the next step? And that comes down to execution on the field of competition. I don't think that there's anything more that we can do as coaches, as administrators, to get us there, because we already have the foundation. Now it's up to us to support the student athletes so that they can achieve their maximum on the field of competition.
As for the nominees, NAIT actually has a tradition of keeping that hush-hush. Nominees for Athlete of the Year, Team of the Year, and other awards will be announced tonight at the banquet at 7 p.m. Alberta's Olympic and Paralympic athletes are home from a successful trip to Pyeongchang in February, and yesterday they were honored at the Alberta Legislature. Premier Rachel Notley welcomed the athletes into the House, where they were then honored individually. There was 66 of them between the Olympics and the Paralympics, and they returned home with 57 medals. The Edmonton Eskimos will have a bit of a different look on the sidelines in the 2018 season, as the team announced some minor changes to the coaching staff this week. The most noteworthy change has head coach Jason Moss taking on offensive coordinator duties as well this year. Assistant head coach and defensive coordinator Mike Benavides will also now be responsible for linebackers, and former NAIT radio and television student Jordan Maximic will expand his role and is now the quarterbacks and passing game coordinator.
I feel like the whole league's just, with all the movement, it seems like every team's gotten better, and it's going to be a battle. Well, I'm thankful we have a mini camp this year with our vets and being able to bring everybody in to kind of learn our schemes again, get refreshed, because once we do hit the ground running in training camp, that's exactly what we have to do, hit it running.
The team hopes the new coaching structure will help lead them to the Grey Cup championship game, which Edmonton is set to host in November. Ask me why I wanted to try boxing. Going into this week's End Zone Challenge, I'd tell you it's because it looked like a lot of fun on television. But once I stepped foot into Marshall's Boxing Club, I had my eyes opened and my mouth closed. I'm sorry. First, it was all about the footwork, which wasn't exactly a strong suit. Then we moved on to some drills where we actually threw punches at each other. This was the fun part because nobody hit that hard. Then it was time for some bag work. I didn't have to worry about dodging punches here, so instead I focused on dodging the waves of nausea that were overtaking me. I'm loving it, but, in very short intervals.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah. Finally, it was time to step into the squared circle. After an hour of learning how to box, I was put up against the most experienced fighter in the gym. And, well, it showed. That's, I understand why there's a wafer. I don't even know the fundamentals of boxing. Here we are doing this.
There you go. There you go.
That should be fun for you. You're getting popped.
How we doing, champ?
He's beating the heck out of me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You did a good job.
Oh my God. Overall, I'd give my first crack at boxing 4 concussion symptoms out of 5.
Wow, Brendan, looks like you took quite a pounding there. You okay with all that?
Yeah, it looked like you took some massive hits to the head. Are you okay?
I honestly don't know what hurt worse, the cardio leading into the sparring or getting hit in the head repeatedly.
I don't know. I just know that I need to work on my cardio a little bit, work off some of this chub I got here.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Coming up after the break, Mackenzie and I are headed down to the Wynn House to lend a helping hand.
We help sort clothes and amenities for women in need.
Gently used clothes, household items, shampoos, conditioners. Those are things that our women need constantly when they're coming into shelter.
Despite the cold weather, I still have a hot week in entertainment for you. I've got furry friends, flowers, and more coming up after the break.
NR92 brings you all the NAIT coverage you could ask for. NR92 is enough coverage to make you go. Tune in at the top of every hour to hear the latest results, news, and upcoming games. Only on NR92.com.
NewsWatch clothing provided by Action Air Mold and Asbestos.
NewsWatch music provided by Martin Mayer Productions.
This week, Mackenzie and I went down to the Wynn House to sort toys for children.
The Wynn House is to help women and children with clothes and other amenities after leaving a situation dealing with domestic abuse.
Constantly, it's like a revolving door, like a lot of stuff.
The Wynn House sits on 118th Avenue in a small building with easy access. Donations are accepted year-round, but due to the tight space, some donations are sent to the Alberta Diabetes Foundation. As many mothers come through with small children, toys are hot items for donation, and there are plenty of other ways you can help.
A great way that individuals can help support us is through the donations, either monetary or through in-kind donations. So that can be anything from gently used clothes, household items, shampoos, conditioners. Those are things that our women need constantly when they're coming into shelter.
If you would like to donate supplies, you can drop them off at the Woodrack Cafe before April 9th.
So this weekend I've got a lot to do. I have to go and help a friend move, but what do you have planned for this weekend, Nikita?
I don't have much planned, but I'm thinking of going to see some plays. What do you think, Melissa?
Well, guys, I've got some great weekend plans in the lineup for you, but first, Beerfest International is almost back again, and this year we'll have the largest selection of beers. Our Evan Hugowanek has more.
Edmonton International Beer Fest is on its 12th year. Beer Fest features over 500 imported, domestic, and craft beers, plus wine, cider, and spirits for sampling. A section at Beer Fest will include a craft beer village, which will include some of Alberta's breweries, which are Blind Man Brewing from Lacombe, Troubled Monk from Red Deer, and 2 local ones, Yellowhead Brewery and Alley Cat Brewing Company. Another section will have a beer school.
What you're going to see is a lot more immersive experience from our beer school. We're looking very forward to bringing the qualified professionals down into market that haven't been here, advanced cicerones that are traveling from across the country to speak towards the histories of beers, of IPAs.
This means people will get a chance to learn about the history of breweries here locally and how they are brewed. After learning the history, you can go ahead and try their different beers.
Wow, so for local breweries, I take a look here right at Urban Tavern, and so of course you're going to see your Alley Cat, you're going to see your Tool Shed, your Trouble Monk. There's a wide variety that are going to be partaking. This is the International Beer Fest, but it's Edmonton's Beer Fest as well. So of course I imagine we're going to see our groups from Yellowhead, very good local purveyors.
Beer Fest is held on April 13th and 14th and has sold out 8 years straight. Chalk Conference Centre is the host once again for Beer Fest. Not only will there be over 500 different beers, there's going to be tons of entertainment. With tickets selling fast, you better get yours now. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Evan Hugowanek.
Blue Stockings is a play that follows 4 women at Cambridge University fighting for their right to graduate. The girls defy the standards society placed on women, where they weren't suitable for education and should only be mothers and care for their families.
I think that this is an opportunity for people to see and to learn something that perhaps they would not have known. And I just think there's so much in this, and it would spark that understanding for many people in a story.
Blue Stockings runs at the Walterdale Theatre until April 14th. For tickets, visit walterdaletheatre.com. For the first time ever, Atlas Theatre is partnering with the Varscona Theatre Ensemble to bring a dark, yet hopeful play.
Shall we begin again?
Going to St. Ives is a play about an African woman who needs eye surgery. She travels to Britain to visit a world-renowned eye surgeon. The woman is the mother of an evil dictator in Africa who is holding doctors hostage. The doctor asks the woman to free the prisoners in exchange for the surgery.
It's a play that's concerned with characters and words and ideas and story, which is really what our company is about.
In a twist of events, the African woman asks the doctor for a favor, and they travel to Africa to fulfill her wish. The play runs until April 14th at the Varscona Theatre. Pandemonium is breaking out over furry friends in a new movie at the TELUS World of Science.
Come on, let's go. Let's go.
The movie follows Chen Chen, a panda bear who is born in captivity but will be released into the wild to help pandas repopulate. Her team in China works together with American scientists to help prepare her for life in the wild.
I don't teach bears how to be bears. The knowledge is already inside them.
Pandas opens at the TELUS World of Science on April 20th. No matter how cold the weather gets, that doesn't stop these orchid lovers from celebrating spring. The 41st Annual Orchid Festival begins Friday night at the Enjoy Center in St. Albert. There are many displays up for judging and prizes to be won. There are also vendors who can help fulfill all your orchid growing needs.
Most people think orchids are cattleyas and they're fussy and they're difficult to grow, but that is only one small branch of the orchid family. There are orchids in all different branches. We can have pretty much anyone grow anything.
The Orchid Festival runs until April 8th. Well, Nikita, good luck with your weekend plans, and that's been your look at entertainment. Back to you guys.
Man, I'm going to probably have to... Maybe I'll call my friend and say I can't come on Sunday just to go to the Orchids Festival there.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going to that beer fest. I mean, all those kinds of beers.
Oh, 500. Oh, I did not expect that high number at all. All right, so that's been your look at NAIT NewsWatch this week.
Thank you for joining us.